Okay, so you might be coming into this from another session, but basically here's what I've got. I'm getting ready to transfer, or basically to save a file then I'm gonna pull that file into Vcarve. So this is, I'm zooming way out. Okay, there's nothing out there except for this one group, and this is my group. You can see by the outlines that this is a group, and in that are the various two 2-dimensional things that I'm going to transfer over to or pull in from Vcarve. So the one I'm working on right now is this one, and what it is, edit, unhide. I'm just going to talk through unhide last. There's these. I'm going to be doing some welding, and I have these pieces of steel, flat bar steel, quarter-inch flat bar, that I need to put into some sort of wood form to hold them just temporarily together. And even though it's wood and I'm welding, blah blah blah. Okay, so I just need to hold them temporarily so I can do a little tack weld there at the corner. So that's basically what's going on, and I want to be able to have some flexibility in those pieces going back and forth. So this is basically the design. I'm going to hide those, and this is the design that I figured is going to get me by. I'm going to do two of them at a time, so I'm going to go and just copy. So Control M, I'm going to Control M that over to there, which is basically just the same position on that board. I now have two of those. I'm going to edit, delete guides just to avoid confusion. I'm going to click on my scene so I can see everything. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to shift click on that, shift click on that. I'm going to right click, hide. Okay, so the only thing that's left is this little piece right here, which is 11 inches by 11 inches. And since the notes and the dimensions aren't going to carry over anyhow, no big deal. So I'm just going to go out here somewhere and click. So I'm now out of that group. I'm going to do a file, save as, and then I'm going to save it as a new number under my new numbering. Okay, so I saved it as that. It's saved. Now I'm going to go over to Vcarve, and this is my original run on it just to test some stuff, but I didn't like the way that I did it, so I'm just going to go to a new, save this one. No, I don't need to. So the width is 11, the height is 11, and the thickness, what do I want to use on this? I don't know. I do have some 1-inch by 1-inch material out there. Let's go ahead and use that. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to click up here, which is import the vectors. I'm going to find that file that I just saved, and I'm going to open it. It takes a few seconds to do all that. It'll come in like this, and if you pause this just to see what my settings are, I don't even know what those settings are. If I lost them, I'd have to go back and do the same thing. So, but now it's going to come in a little bit off center. It always seems to do that. So I go over here to align. I go up to this one here, and that seems to put everything where I want it. Now I'm good to go, and now it's selecting everything, including the outside perimeter. So if you didn't notice that, just click somewhere. There we go. Now I've clicked somewhere. Now what I want to do is click, shift click, shift click, shift click. So I've got those two basic shapes set up to go. Now remember, everything in there is at least 1/4 inch wide, if not wider. Otherwise there would be an issue. It wouldn't allow you to do this. And I'm going to go down 0.375, which would be 3/8 of an inch. And I'll make 3 passes. That sounds decent. And I'm going to call this weld pockets or whatever. Give it a name. And then I usually type in at 0.375. Just to kind of remind me, calculate. Now I want to test and make sure it's going to work here, because I've had it where it doesn't work outside when you get too close to an edge or something. So I'm going to go to that. I'm going to just say reset preview in case I had something else. I unclick that. Okay, so I basically have a plain sheet of wood. I click on toolpaths down here, which would select all of them. There's only one. I'm going to click on preview visible toolpaths. And it did everything that I wanted to do. So it made all those slots 3/8 of an inch deep. It made those little nubbies at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say close. and then I'm going to click on this icon, save toolpaths. The problem is that there's no toolpaths selected, so I want to make sure I select what it is I want to save. I'm going to save the toolpaths. It's going to ask for a name. I'm going to say Weld 11 by 11. In fact, I'm going to call it 11 by 11 dash weld, and that'll just, when I pull it up on or on the CNC, that helps because there's not very, it's like DOS or something there. And then I can save this file, so file, save as, and I'll call it the same thing. I'll just call this weld, because this is the CRV file, weld 11 by 11, and then it's November 22, and this is version 1, so let's just go with that. Alright, so now I have everything there. All I need to do now is go to my drive, and I see that I have up here that tap file. That's the only one I really need to save, but since I like to make backups for other things, I'm just going to go ahead and click on a couple of those, right click, copy, and then I'm going to stick a thumb drive in the computer. If I can find an empty slot, there's one. All right, now it gave me that it's a D drive. There's some older stuff on there. I'm going to remove those because otherwise it gets kind of they get diluted when you get out there in the shop when you pull it up. So it's much easier for me to do this. I'm going to paste. Okay, so it pasted my 11 by 11 weld from this morning at 10:41. It pasted the CRV file just as a backup. It pasted the SketchUp file just as a backup. Again, I'm not going to pull them up there. It's just as a backup. I'm going to click that. I am going to click my safely remove thing. I'm going to click eject, and it doesn't normally show eject when I'm doing a screen capture. So basically that's the end of that particular, transferring it over to a thumb drive so I can pull it out into the shop, pull it up on the CNC, and continue from there.